Like, share, subscribe, hit the super chat on the way in. Man, shout out to Dr. T. Hassan Johnson and to BGS. That was a great stream. Um, Shout out to the Nigerian brother that they reviewed. Um, I told y'all the bar was in hell. Y'all over here talking about Yvonne Orgy still being a virgin. Meanwhile, this brother over here telling you, um, we're starting to deal with ADOS issues over here. Oh man. Okay. Moment of seriousness. Um, so this is about women having FU money. And FU money isn't necessarily directed towards the system. FU money is directed towards you, generally men of color, particularly black men, even more particularly ADOS men. But apparently, what we seeing is that you Nigerian brothers, and I'm going to say this by extension, other African brothers, you get the FU treatment after a certain amount that she earns also. Uh-oh. So the Nigerian brother was saying somewhere around 70. Well, he was saying over 50. Over 50 is when they start, when these women start giving you the FU attitude, right? But he was really stuck around that 70, $80,000 a year mark. So let's start it at 50, but okay, 70, 80 is when they really start, giving you the middle finger as a black man. Yeah, FU money. Right? So FU is not towards the system. FU is towards black men. Now let's pause right here. Did or did not Mr. Z tell y'all on the Raj Reports channel years ago that ADOS FBA were the leaders of the black diaspora, and that much of the criticism that ADOS FBA men and women get is really actually just jealousy? For those of you that remember that stream, when a brother hopped on, he sounded like he had a British accent by way of Africa, right? Like Brit by way of Africa, but still, and he was critiquing black culture in a particular way. And if y'all remember, this was years ago, so y'all probably don't even remember. That's for anybody that even was there. And I had been on the stream. I jumped off. I jumped back on just to tell him off. Right? Trail, fun money, yeah. FU Negroes money, yeah, exactly. That's good. That's a good one. Ooh, that's good. We using that. That's good. That's a good one. Fun money, FU Negroes money, right? And yeah, like I said, ADOS FBA are not only the face of the black diaspora, they are the leaders of the black diaspora. And I understand y'all didn't necessarily ask for it, but you being in the belly of the beast and some of the most, some of the best minds socially and politically critiquing this behemoth we call white hegemony, white supremacy, white power, white patriarchy, white capitalism, etc., come from America. Right? And that's before we start talking about the thinkers and the inventors, coming out of Black America, going back a couple centuries. That's before we even get to that. I'm speaking about the thinkers and writers that speak about this invention, this thing called race, and then specifically white supremacy in all of its forms. And I say no one has done a better job on planet Earth critiquing this outside of ADOS FBA black people. I'm not saying you don't got Brazilian brothers and sisters. I'm not saying you don't have obviously 54 countries in Africa, African brothers and sisters. I'm not saying you don't have non-black people. I'm saying I think the best people at critiquing this have been black Americans, ADOS FBA, right? And what this Nigerian brother is telling you is, yeah, those Nigerian women, Nigerian sisters, that once they start making that 70, 80 grand for them, that's enough FU money, and the marriage is going downhill, right? Depuis yo fait ti l'argent ça, yo pas vle tande aucun bagay au moun abdi. By the way, so that was me speaking my garbage Creole by saying once they start making this little money, they don't want to hear nothing nobody got to say. Translation. Bruce on Wayne, where you at? Indigo Flow, where you at? Right? Why did Mr. Z break out in Creole? To tell y'all, because y'all know Mr. Z is Haitian descent. Oh yeah, over here too. What y'all thought? What you thought Haitians ain't getting divorced too? What you thought Haitian women don't have a number in their head for the FU money also? Oh yeah. And it's less than 70, 80 racks. 40,000. 45,000 is enough to be like, she gonna be staying with her parents anyway. Right? Her parents okay with her moving back in for a couple years until she could get her feet under her. Right? Divorce you, make it only 45, 50, move back in with her mom for 2, 3, 5 years. Right? So the brother said $70,000, $80,000. Right? So, this FU money just accentuates color, class, capitalism, all of this rolled into one, right? Because I saw the comments and I saw people talking about Becky, right? And like the South Asians, and we're gonna get to it, the South Asians, men and women, but particularly women, that second generation, they really start dating Brad. Yeah, because that's what it's all about. What does women's hypergamy look like in a white supremacist capitalist society? Dear lefties, y'all want to critique something? Critique that. What does women of color's hypergamy look like in a white supremacist capitalist society? I'm not even trying to we're not even going to do the whole, we can socialize hypergamy out of women. No, we can't. But what does it look like in a white supremacist capitalist society? What does it look like? Right? So this also reminded me of the Cornell study from years ago. And its title was Mismatches in the Dating Market, right? Mismatches in the dating market. And it found that financially, so for those of us in the Black manosphere, we were talking about in a different way, right? And this is the study that we derived from it. Financially unattractive men are leading to a downturn in marriage, right? And remember, the study showed us that women, socio-demographic desired man, earn something like 58% more than those women themselves, right? So what the Cornell I guess these researchers did was they were looking at when women would marry, what type of men would they marrying financially, right? So this is where you get the term socio demographic, right? And so they took all of this stuff, they put it in their little number machine, and then they looked at how many single men fit the description. And this is how they came up with that, with this title that everyone was using, where financially unattractive men were leading to a downturn in marriage, or economically unattractive men, better yet, were leading to a downturn in marriage. Because women were looking for someone, single women were looking for someone that earned something like 58% more than they did. We're not talking about height yet, or looks, or charisma, or any of that, political affiliation. We're not even there yet. We're just strictly talking about the money right now. Now, if women on average, what is women's on average income? I'm not talking about the median. On average is what, 40 some odd $1,000? That means you're looking for someone that's earning 60 some odd or 70 some odd $1,000. Well, we already know 1/3 of men ever earn more than 65-ish, 61-ish $1,000 a year. So if only 1/3 of men ever earn more than around $61,000, $65,000 a year or more, well, there you go. So like the Nigerian brother was saying, 70, 80,000 is where they get that FU money. I'm earning more than you average men. I'm earning more than my husband. Guess it's time to file for divorce. You gotta love social media and the internet. Dear women, this was the worst thing that ever happened to y'all. I promise y'all, I said it. The internet will expose us all. Why did I bring the internet will expose us all in this conversation? Because now we're seeing, it's not character flaw in men. It's women's delusion and insanity and their hypergamy not going checked. Uh-oh. It's hypermaterialism, consumerism, right? I gotta read this one early. And Bruce Owen Wayne, the translation is essentially bands to make her dance. And Bruce Owen Wayne says, L'argent fait femme danser. It was like, money makes women dance. Right? Did I get that right, Bruce Owen Wayne? That was funny. Right? I lost my whole train of thought. Oh, man. So, that's funny. Oh, man. Thank you for the super chat, Bruce. Oh, funny. But, and Bruce could tell you, same thing going on in the Haitian community. Same thing. Right? And like I said, other groups of Africans do have something to contribute to the conversation about colorism and anti-blackness across the planet, and this kind of global permanent underclass that people want to have black people on, right? So I think you know other black people in the black diaspora have something to contribute to this conversation also, obviously. But black Americans are pretty much the leaders of this conversation, right? Now, BGS and speaking to Dr. T and essentially saying like these people want to, these women, particularly these Nigerian women, if we're going to use that, but I would say a lot of different other Africans outside of Nigeria want to imitate this particular brand of black femininity. Duh. Right? Absolutely. Right? Because I said it on Roger's channel years ago. It had to be like 3-4 years ago at this point. 3 years ago. Women across the diaspora look at ADOS FBA women as the purest form of feminism, right? And Compassionate and Callous spoke to this one time on my channel, which is like ADOS FBA women are the true believers, right? They're seen as the true believers. And so other women who are tapped into American culture, and by extension, Black American culture, they look at the way Black women sass Black men. They look at Black women sticking their middle finger up to Black men. They look at that as liberating. The only thing they're trying to connect is your money, dear men in general, particularly Black men, to that liberation. That's the only thing that they're afraid of, right? Is the poverty part. The fact that 80 of us FBA men said, okay, fine, Black American women, you can have your liberation. You just don't get to have my money attached to your liberation. In other words, I ain't gonna pay you to twerk unless I'm in a strip club, of course. I'm not gonna pay you to tell me to F off. I'm not gonna pay you to stick the middle finger up at me. That's the I promise you, once women find a way to have your money attached to them being liberated, oh, it's over. Because the tax money is not enough, right? The system subsidizing Black American women, other women outside of the ADOS community are like, yeah, but it still look a little too difficult. And this is why that 70, 80 grand is enough for them. FU money. And let's call a thing a thing. A lot of Nigerian sisters are staying at home with their parents too. You want to know why they look like they live in the time of their life and they taking trips and going on day parties? It's because they're earning 80 grand a year living at home with mom and dad. You imagine? You imagine being 28, 32, 33, living at home with your parents, making 80 grand a year? And all you got to do is pay a little cell phone bill in your car note. Now your car note could be $1,000 a month. 1,100. Oh yeah, you could have you that nice ass Range Rover because you live at home with your parents. Right? Yeah, you can look down your nose at other Black men, whether they're Nigerian or not. Definitely ADOS Black men. Yeah, you can look down your nose at them when you have a roommate or when you live at home with your parents. Right? Yeah, you can have a car note for 8, 9, 1,000, 11, 1,200 bucks a month. Yes, you can. Right? So, part of the conversation, um, South Asians were brought up, and Dr. T said something that I brought up to y'all once again. Shout out Mr. Z, pat himself on the back. I brought up to you guys years ago on the Roger Reports channel, that caste system that they're recreating over there in Silicon Valley. The South Asians, right, that are recreating their caste system here in America, particularly on the West Coast in the tech field, right? They're exporting their caste system from India to Britain to America to Canada, but definitely over here in America, right? So why did Mr. Z bring up the South Asians? As um, BGS and Dr. T were speaking, and because the Nigerian brother brought up the South Asians as an example, and all I thought to myself was, he was like, these Indians, they don't drag their men to court once they start earning 150. And he was like, look, they're earning 2 times more than you with your FU money, and they still not dragging their men to court. And I agree with Dr. T and BGS for now. Number one. Number two, like the brothers in the comments were saying, that second generation, they start dating Brad. Mindy Kaling, anyone? Oops. Right? A whole lot of them South Asian women, that second generation, they'd have bust down for Brad, that second generation. Right? Number one. Number two, like I said, that's a ticking time bomb. Don't y'all forget about that $200 million that was allotted to Pakistan for gender, quote unquote, gender equity programs. Y'all forgot? Y'all forgot we were talking about that a couple years ago? $200 million for quote unquote gender equity programs. Don't also forget that $10 million of COVID relief money to Pakistan was once again tied to quote unquote gender programs. Oh yeah, America's exporting the feminism to destroy your gender relations, your relations between men and women. Oh yeah, we're about to mess all that up. And I say we loosely. I don't mean Mr. Z and other black men. I mean the US government. Oh yeah, Bollywood. Trail. Hey, Trail killing me. Bali bust downs for real though. Right? That sounds that sounds like a triple X flick. Bali bust downs. Right? Handy hoes. Hey, y'all keep messing with them white men. Them white men gonna really do. They're really gonna have the flicks with the, and it's gonna be called that too. That's funny you say that, but give it some time. 10 years later, right? So don't y'all forget, like they're exporting this $200 million for quote unquote gender equity programs. $10 million of COVID relief funds that was supposed to go to Pakistan or that went to Pakistan, right? And for those of you that don't know, Pakistan was formerly part of India, right? The partition and all that other stuff, and the their great migration is different. Their great migration is, I'm Muslim, I'm going this way. You're Hindu, you're going that way, right? But yeah, once again, this is women's hypergamy meets capitalism, racism, and classism. This is why the 6'2" tall Brad with the chisel chin Chad, right? He's spoiled for choice, right? It was a great breakdown. What what Dr. T and BGS were able to what glean from this was beautiful, actually. But yes, this is what it is, right? FU money, FU money. And that's what the brother is. That's what so many. If y'all let this Western white Western style feminism touch wherever you are, it is over. 2-3 decades in whatever form it's going to show up, or whichever form it's going to manifest. Right, it's going to show up white feminists. But however it evolves in your nation, in your society, oh yeah, it's a wrap. It's over. Right? FU money. And I hear what the brother was saying. You know that the Nigerian brother was saying, "Oh, these." And notice he said Indians. He ain't saying. Well, he actually did mention East Asians. But if you mention Chinese women, you got to be talking about first gens, fresh off the boat, right? Because the second gens are dating white dudes. The second gens are Americanized as hell. The only way you could stop that from happening is the second they come for college and they graduate, you put their ass right back on the plane, right back to China. That's the only way you can maybe mitigate for that. And the Chinese government is so slick. Mr. Z might get his channel deleted tonight. The Chinese government is so slick. I remember seeing a video and I tried to download it and they took it off. I couldn't find it nowhere. And the places where I found it, it was deleted. In other words, they showed that the video used to be there. They just took it off. There was a video of a Chinese woman in China. About literally, she's supposed to be walking down the aisle right now. She's standing arguing with the mother-in-law, or the should be or would be mother-in-law. Hey, you promised me a Range Rover or with some type of expensive car. Where's the car? I'm not marrying your son until I get the car. Western capitalism turned Chinese. I'm not marrying your son until I get the car. The son walks up, starts fussing her out, throws the rose on the ground, and walks away. White supremacist capitalism, everyone. What y'all thought? Like I said, you let it touch your country, it's over. It's a wrap. If you don't believe me, go ask Japan. God damn, Mr. Z. Go ask South Korea. It just shows up differently. I said this before. I said this on shout out to Passport OG for reviewing it. I said it. The difference, and shout out to the Raj Report. I said it on the Raj Report channel once. I was going back and forth with a brother who was, oh, the Asians don't move like that. Who? So Keisha will have your baby and just never marry you and stick the middle finger and put the government on you, right? Put you on child support. That is not how Mei Ling works. Mei Ling just won't have your kid ever. She won't marry you. That's how they excuse me, Mr. Z. The defiance is different. That's all. The FU is different. That's all. Right? Boy, it's something about South Florida drivers, especially the women. If they're messing up in traffic, they just won't take the L. You know what they will do? They will turn from the right lane. I promise you. Within the past minute and a half, I done seen 2 cars say, screw it. I'm about to pass the intersection. I'm going to stop in the middle of the road, wait until this car passes, and turn from the right lane. Insane. Absolutely insane. Back to the subject ahead. But yeah, so yeah. If you don't believe, look at the population in South Korea. Yes, Mouse Utopia Project, but a lot of that is informed by their weird-ass form of hypergamy. The question is, for everyone, for all of you technocrats and social designers, what was the point of putting women in the workforce then? What was the point? Female empowerment, and we want, fine. Okay, women are working, they can make their own money, and they're saying, oh, by the way, see, when I was earning nothing, when I was at home, when I was a stay-at-home wife, then, you know, a standard guy, stable guy, got his head on his shoulders, that was good. That was good enough. Now that I'm earning 45, he got to be earning 70. What? Right? And if I start earning 70, then I don't need him. If I start earning 80, I don't need him. Shout out to the Nigerian brother. Right? Yeah. That's what the whole Cornell study, economically unattractive men are leading to a downturn in marriage. They said when they put it in their little calculator, a man had to earn something like 58% more than a woman to be considered a viable candidate. Now look at the terms we're using. Economically unattractive, viable candidate, suitable suitor. Y'all sound crazy. White economist, anyone? Right? I keep on saying it, so somebody gonna have to answer the question eventually. What does white patriarchy, white capitalism, white portrayals of luxury, right? White hegemonic power, what does that look like when women of color interact with it? both domestically here in America and internationally. What does it look like? And what does it look? And let me put a caveat on that. Let me add something to that, right? Also, what does it look like when black women in America, or Latin women in America, or East or South Asian women in America interact with that, and then their sisterin back home in Africa, in the Caribbean, in Latin America, in South Asia, in East Asia, see them interacting with it? In other words, white men groom the women over here, the women over here groom the women over there. Now what? Right? Stuff y'all would have never heard before. Right? I'm sorry, y'all give me 1 second. Gotta get the hell out of these people over here driving like molasses on 95. Move the hell out the way. But yeah, so yeah, right. So welcome to hell to the Nigerian brother, right? Welcome to hell. And the title of Dr. T's title, I think it was something along the line, is the Black Gender War going global or something along those lines? Yeah. People are, you got to remember, like, people, and Dr. T knows this, but people around the world were watching Kevin. And I can't remember if it was Baleri or which one of the African brothers that call in to the Black Manosphere, occasionally either Snake Man or Baleri or one of the other brothers that told us, like, yeah, they're watching. And once again, it wasn't just black people from across the diaspora that were watching Kevin. Non-black people also. And I said people, not women, or not men, better yet. It wasn't just men. Women from across the diaspora were watching Kevin also. Right? Y'all gonna have to come to terms with the fact that, hey, white patriarchy plus hypergamy plus white capitalism is a combustible mix. And this Nigerian brother, it is good that he didn't mention ADOS men or women. It's good that he didn't. And shout out to Dr. T for catching that on. Mention ADOS men or women. Exactly. And y'all still going through what you thought. Now, believe it or not, I don't have a problem with women making enough to have FU money and then telling, men, black men, let's call a thing, black women telling black men, FU, I'm gonna go try to be the bust down for Chad. I don't have a problem with that. I have a problem when they don't want to eat the consequences. When they're leaving, they try to make it seem like black men have some type of character flaw. All these women of color are doing that. All of them. Somehow men of their own race have character flaw when y'all trying to be the bust down for white daddy. That's when we start getting into colorism and texturism and featureism, and that's when we start getting, oh, they're too patriarchal, or they're the machismo, and yawn. They're too immature. How do y'all all still end up under the scrotum of white dudes, though? All of y'all? Huh. Just call a thing, say my hypergamy bone is itching. And I just think the white man's the best, and that's where I'm going to be. Right? So the brother says 80 racks, 88, 70, $80,000 is where, for him, it seems like that FU money starts for Nigerian sisters. Okay. Sounds about right. What you thought, right? And let me pat myself again on the back. I told y'all it wasn't just the ADOS FBA thing. They just the loudest. And shout out to the Black Bread Tube. Y'all refuse to do systemic analysis on this, huh? Right? And critique this. Women of color meets hypergamy meets capitalism meets the white penis. Oops. Right? What happens when Milton Freeman and Disney CEOs and CCOs have unfettered access to the minds of your daughters of color? And then what happens when your daughters of color, whatever they're portraying in the media or on social media, your other daughters of color globally covet that? Oops. Don't look good, don't sound good. This brother said he was born in America. And he don't see these South Asians, these Indians moving the way the Nigerian sisters are moving. And they earn 2 times more, if not more than 2 times more than them. Dear brother, last time I checked, the Nigerian brothers and sisters be the ones bragging about their Lexus and their Benzo and their Beamer, right? You don't understand how to start, right? Unless you're gonna fix that, right? Of course, the women sound crazy. Oh, and Trell Billy said, Dwight Coke. Yeah. Oh, over a cock. I see what you're saying. I thought you were talking about the Koch brothers. My bad. Right? And Rupert Murdoch them and whatnot. But either way, yeah. Y'all like, share, subscribe, hit the super chat. We cover this to say first, this is something that is bigger than ADOS FBA. Although ADOS FBA and by extension brothers like Mr. Z who were born and raised in America and have, deep ties to ADOS FBA, we are at the tip of the spear. We got hit the hardest and hit first, but also we are at the tip of the spear for the answer and the cure. What the Black Manosphere is doing with all of these conversations, everything from the light ones to the heavy ones to the funny ones to the ones that seem surface level to the ones that have policy answers, is we are group thinking and talking our way to a solution, right? We are crowdsourcing answers. That's what our conversations here are about. We are pointing out problems that other people either didn't see or they did see and they did not want to speak about, right? They saw it and they ignored it. So they saw it, they ignored it, and we're the ones who are pointing it out and putting it in their face. Right? And it's needed. I want y'all to understand that if it wasn't for the black manosphere, these people would not be, they wouldn't be talking this way. Birth rates going down, marriage rate going down, the contempt for men, particularly black men. It's so bad that you literally have social media creators speaking about aborting black male babies. And if it wasn't for the black manosphere, no one would be talking about this. And so this brother is running into the wall of this brand of black female talk, black ADOS talk, black ADOS advocacy, going global, right? Going global. What you thought? So it's needed. Most definitely it's needed. Economically unattractive men are leading to a downturn in marriage. And when that, you know, article and when we were having these type of conversations years ago, no one saw that for the blatant red flag it was. Women earning on average in America some 40 some odd, we know the median is lower, but some 40 some odd $1,000, but yet they want to earn, man, they're only interested in, for the most part, marrying men that earn some 58% more, so 60% more. Well, if she's earning 40, that's 60,000. Well, actually more than 60,000, but 50% would be 60,000. If she's earning 45, oh well, look at that. We done priced 2/3 of single men out the game right there, because once again, 2/3 of men never earn more than $61,000-$65,000 a year in America. I didn't say black men, I said men. That's funny. That's funny. And Detroit said, divested witch Clayface. Hysterical. Right? This is why we cover these type of things, yo. This Nigerian brother is running into it, and he think the Indians are safe. For now. For now, if this doesn't get reversed. For now. Right? But if it's happening in China and in Japan and in South Korea, and the US is funding, quote unquote, gender equity programs in Pakistan, India, you're literally in the middle of Pakistan and China. You're literally in the middle. Literally. No, Nigerian brother, nope. India gonna get it too. And India is a democracy, and what? Their Congress is full of women. Oh yeah, no, it's coming. Right? Oh no, it's yeah. Nah, nope. Indians in India aren't safe. Indians in America aren't safe, and definitely Indians in Britain. Pff, yeah, right. You want to see feminism, right? What, as a matter of fact, what? Okay. We all see the clip of the white dude, right? We all see the clip of the white dude, who he was on stage and he does these seminars, right, with women, and stuff like that, right? And he was at one of these type of seminars, and he was speaking to it looked like a South Asian woman, and speaking to her, and she said something like, "I'll break your head" or something like that. They got into the conversation, and she said how she would respond to something, and she, something weird she said, and then he kind of brought her back down and, like, was speaking to her and kind of low-key embarrassed her. That woman looked, I think that woman was South Asian. I wouldn't be surprised if she was Pakistani descent or Indian descent. For all of you that know the clip I'm referencing, I forgot this white dude's name, but yeah, the clip that, he's standing on stage and he's talking to a room full of women, and And it looked like they might have been in Britain, maybe, right? I think that woman was South Asian. So, assuming this is a South Asian woman and they're in Britain, this is a South Asian woman born and raised in Britain, or at least raised in Britain, and yeah, right? And someone said, let me see if that name is correct. I think you are right. Yep, yep. Matthew Hussey, is that who I'm talking about? I think you are correct. Yep. Yeah. I think that. Yep. I think that's him. I think so. Yeah, that's him. That's him. That's him. That's him. Yeah, 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 yeah. So if he's not British or he might be Australian. Yeah, 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 yeah. Yeah. So for those of you that saw that clip, right, where he's speaking to that, she looks South Asian, right, or South Asian descent, but exactly, yeah. And there you go. Like I said, y'all ain't safe. So to the Indian brother, I mean, excuse me, to the Nigerian brother, no, Indians are not safe. Not in the West. Not even in India. Right. Right. No, they're not safe. Look, Mr. Z is for women, and you can have your independent, just not on my dime. You can have your independence. You could stick your middle finger up. You could have the fu money, just not on my dime. Whatever the government can coax out of me with these taxes, that's all you get. And if they go too far, then Mr. Z, don't incriminate yourself. Anyway, yeah, that's all you get. You could yeah, fu, yeah, yeah, yeah. Not on my dime though. You can min ish all you want, just not on my dime, right? And what the Nigerian brother is seeing is, yeah, this is the goal for women in many respects. They just don't. Many of them just don't like what it looked like on the back end. They really, pun. Um, they really don't take into account that men are and shout out to this. Men's biggest weapon in this current environment is your indifference. Your indifference, particularly black men in America, your indifference. Oh, who would have ever thought indifference could move mountains? Right? I'm trying to say thank you, Eston. I think that's the name, Eston Pants. Thank yeah, thank you for the name. But yeah, it's Matthew Hussey. How do you pronounce that? Is it Hussey? But yeah, well, you did have it correct. Thank you very much. Right. So we'll go over these points one more again. But so the brother says from between 70 and $80,000. That's when he said 50, but he really, for about 70, 80 grand is when the Nigerian sisters, I guess, start giving you the fu, right? That's the fu money, right? And he's saying like that's when the marriages and the relationships start getting rocky. Is around when she starts earning some 70, $80,000 a year, right? This also reminded me of the Cornell study, and the actual um, name of the study was called Mismatches in the Dating Market. We called it Financially Unattractive Men Are Leading to a Downturn in Marriage, right? And once again, remember the study showed that women's socio-demographic desired man, or so the men that they desire socio-demographically, earn something like 58% more than them, right? So over 50%, yeah. Okay, so it's Husi. Thank you. It's Husi. So Matthew Husi, right? Also, because the brother was referencing India and Indians, and the fact that he works with so many, and you don't see them kind of speaking about their men this way and treating their men this way. And I say give it time. Once again, $200 million allotted for gender equity programs to Pakistan. $10 million of COVID relief money, so that's years ago, was attached. So, in other words, Pakistan couldn't get this money coming from the US at the tune of $10 million. They couldn't get it without signing on to these quote unquote gender programs. What you think those gender programs are about, right? We also saw from brothers in the comments that these South Asian women are ending up with Brad anyway. They dating Brad anyway. That first generation born here ended up dating Brad anyway. Brad and Chad. Once again, literally Mindy Kaling's life. Literally. Huh. Let's see. Brother who pretended to be a black man to get into whatever program that he wanted to get into, and then wrote a book about pretending to be black, or an article. Was it an article or a book? I think it was a book. Then you yourself, Miss Mindy Kaling, going in on Indian men just to be the baby mama to a white dude. I'm just saying, right? As I said before, once again, this is what women's hypergamy looks like, or this is what happens when women's hypergamy meets capitalism, racism, and classism, right? Yeah, and I think, yeah, if I'm not mistaken, Mindy Kaling has a kid from a white dude. Let me make sure I'm telling y'all the truth. We will fact check it right now. Huh? Yeah. Yep. 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 Looks like I'm right. Huh? Yep. I'm not sure about that. Ezreal says, didn't she go to Harvard? I'm not sure. We'll fact check it right now. Give me a second. Let's see. What schools did she attend? Nah, looks like Dartmouth. She went to Dartmouth. Yeah, that's what it looks like. Huh. And I use Mindy Kaling as a non-black representation of the aspirations of many women of color outside of black women, right? So for those of you that like, why does he always bring her up? I think she is a perfect representation of what these non-black women are aspiring to also, right? So for Xers, y'all had Tila Tequila and whatnot. For millennials, we have Mindy Kaling. And I think she perfectly represents so many of those non-black women who parents are professionals and make really good money. They grew up in the burbs, away from black people for the most part, amongst other South Asians and East Asians, and a whole lot of white folks and a whole lot of small hat white folks. And then when they get on, boom, Mindy Kaling. I think Mindy Kaling perfectly represents some. Even if she would have ended up with the South Asian man, she perfectly represents so many of those particular women of color, same type of background, all of it, from parents coming here, being highly accomplished, etc. I think she represents that so well. That's why I continue to bring her up in this conversation. And so for the brother to mention Indians, I'm like, are you sure about that? Because you talking about that first gen. What about that second generation? Right? What about that second generation? For real though. Right? So y'all like, share, subscribe. Um, we're gonna continue to cover stuff like this. Shout out to BGS. Shout out to Dr. T. I think this was great that y'all, covered this. Yeah. And people had an issue with BGS bringing. I remember I was here. I was here. People ain't want to hear it. Look, man, I said it. I'm Haitian descent. Haitian, like serious. I've been around Caribbean people my entire life. Jamaicans, Bahamians, Haitians, Guyanese, Trini, name them. The Latinos, Cubans, Dominicans, Puerto Ricans. And I'm telling y'all, it's not just ADOS FBA women. They the loudest. Yeah, there's stuff that they're worse at. Yeah, they're the most brazen also. Well, I'm not going to pretend like that's not true. But it manifests differently in different communities and different parts of the globe. Once they start getting this men ain't ish little bug on them, it's over. Especially if the society coax that in, right? And that is what allowed for this to really perpetuate itself in the Black American community and all the rest of us that are attached to the Black American community in the Black diaspora in America, if that makes any sense. In other words, if you Black in America, if you Black in America, all the culture does is buffer you to a certain extent. But I would argue that is gonna be maybe a little bit more informed because of the Black manosphere and other brothers that are interacting with the Black manosphere from the diaspora. But if you weren't ready for this as a Nigerian, as a brother from South Africa, as an Angolan, as someone from Kenya, if you're not ready for this, and you bring your wife here early in your mid-20s, yo, it's a wrap. You know, even shout out to the funky academic, Armiose Frimpong speaks about this with his father, who's African descent, and his ADOS mother, and how his dad, it tore him up when his mom divorced him. He was hard. He pretty much Army Osei Frank Paul pretty much said it tore his dad apart. Right. So I think it's gonna be a little bit different for African sisters to still pull that stunt. But let's be honest, most black men across the globe, they're not interacting with this stuff. So BGS is correct. The environment, they don't have the type of society to really foster this too much yet. But hey, but yeah, over here, oh, the second you get on a plane and come to America, oh, it's a wrap. Especially if you're not ready, right? And the culture, your culture helps to buffer you. But if you are not consciously, deliberately fortifying and refortifying that wall, fine, it didn't catch your wife, it's gonna catch your daughter. There you go. Shout out to Mindy Kaling's dad. Oops. Right? Y'all think Mr. Z lying? Anybody want to tell me what's going on with Jeannie Mine right now? Ooh, Mr. Z. Y'all seen Jeannie Mine's mom? You think they could have been pulling them stunts back home? Huh? What is Jeannie Mine? Vietnamese descent? Yeah, they got some wildness going on in Vietnam, but you think they could have been pulling that back home? Jeannie Mai's mom, I saw it. Jeannie Mai's mom said like she ran her husband away. She said it. Jeannie Mai beat her mom and ran two men away, white and black. What you talking about? Dear political left, y'all better deal with this. Because you let the white conservative men get a hold of this, it's over. Hmm. And guess what, ladies? Um, White women in particular, like I said last night, it's white men. Shout out to the brothers in the comments for Dr. T and BGS's live stream. Yeah, them South Asians end up dating white people, and especially the South Asian women end up being the bust down for Chad and Brad. Let me say that one more again. What did I say here? Here we go, right here. This is what women's hypergamy looks like when you introduce white capitalism, racism, and classism. Guess what that equals? The white man's peen. For those of you that wonder why Mr. Z continues to go here, y'all, I know it makes us cringe, black men. I know we want to act like, especially in the black manosphere. I know we have a conservative leaning. Y'all better address this white power structure. Thinking you could alpha your way out. Oh, I don't want to sound soft. I don't want to sound like. I don't want to complain. I don't want to sound like the women. All right, you better call a thing. But where you think you going? Oh, just because you got a Latina, you think you straight? All right, let's see who your daughter come home with. Fine, you got you a Latina. You move in the suburbs, suburbs. You move into the suburbs, and you lock the door, and you raise a nice nuclear family. Who is your daughter coming home with? Keep telling me you don't care. Yeah, you do. Y'all better address this. So that's Mr. Z telling the left to address it, and that's Mr. Z telling the right to address it. Oh, you know what? Let's fix that. That's Mr. Z telling the black left to address this, and Mr. Z telling the black right to address this. Right? These people are using women as the buffer class. This is some white evil genius shit. Oh my God. Right? Once you see them say $200 million to Pakistan, you should do. How do you not see what this is? Right? You look at the birth rate in South Korea. You look at the birth rate in Japan. Right? And not only that, it's just not the marriage rate. Right? And Dre says, I'm happy Dr. T spoke on it's worldwide now. Yeah, yeah. Doc, I am gonna highlight it because of who you are, but yeah. Hey, I don't know, Doc. I yes, yeah. Yeah, possibly, but I think it's about control more than that. And I mean, like, if you link that to control, then yes, right? If you link that to control, then yes, because it, like, how much of the puzzle has to be put together before we're like, huh, I think I see what it is now, right? And the way the puzzle is looking right now is you are possibly correct. I'll say that. I'll say that, right? Because something don't, it just, something's not right about that. Because I agree with the nameless protagonist, and I agree with BGS on the Mouse Utopia experiment, right? Exactly, I agree with them, but it doesn't seem like it's just that, and that could just be a feeling, right? That Mr. Z is perfectly okay with saying that could just be a feeling, but something about this makes it seem like it's more than just a feeling, and maybe that's also just a feeling, right? Charles said global Keisha pandemic. Hey, I mean, huh. So we've caught these people openly saying like you educate women and that decreases the population, and they say it with glee. We've openly seen them say that, and I'm not against educate. It's weird, like when you say these things, then you gotta like give the disclaimer that you're not anti this. Like I'm not anti educating women, but understand that these people are saying it, and like you could see it's almost like you see the grin on their face, right? Right? Like Mr. Z, if I have a daughter, I don't want her to be like just a slouch, just living off of a dude. But at the same time, when you hear these people say it, and I've seen so many interviews, so many lectures, so many, when they have the segments when they bring these people on a news channel and they say it, they're saying it with this glee. Oh, this decreases population and decreases violence and and more educated women and more. Okay, fine, right? And it's just weird, right? And I even feel weird having to put the disclaimer out that we're not anti-educated women, right? PK said they Birdman head rubbing, the elite love it. What do they? And Demetrius said smirking. For real, they be smirking. right? And it's interesting listening to these people now talk about this degrowth economy. I was speaking to someone about this earlier, right? The degrowth economy, because they're finally realizing what Africans and indigenous folks of different tribes were saying, I don't know, hundreds and thousands of years ago, which is like, you can't farm this forever, right? Infinite growth is not a thing, right? We live on a finite planet. Shout out to Sarge Willie Pete. We live on a finite planet with finite resources, right? Like everybody but the European understood. Now they coming around to it centuries later. Excuse me. Uh, I think we might be killing the planet with how we use resources. Nah, you think? I think infinite growth might not make any sense. Nah, you think? So tying that to what me and the doc are talking about, um, if they're admitting to the degrowth now, or potentially, slowing this thing where the economy got to infinitely grow this way and projection this and I project that and we got to hit this number. I wonder how much they're doing that for population. I'm just saying. Tying that to Nigerian brother, if these people know that at a certain income level, education level, for a demographic, American women, these women are less likely to have children, less likely to be married, air quotes, partnered, partnered with children, and definitely less likely to stay married, stay with that man. Are we saying that we live on a planet where we've not seen elites do some messed up, insidious, underhanded, maniacal stuff against their population? Why do we think that we now live in an era where the elites wouldn't do something like that? Wouldn't think like that, right? I'm just saying. I ain't saying nothing, but I said something, right? Huh. So, y'all, it's a little over an hour, right? So, well, more than a little over an hour. Um, I just wanted to kind of speak about that. Yeah, economically unattractive men are going to lead to a downturn in marriage, and yeah, so it's interesting. This brother said that what he said. The Nigerian brother said what he said. Um, and yeah, fu money. That's all. Once Dr. T started playing the clip, and I saw where the brother was going, I'm like, oh yeah, you talking about fu money? You talking about women who said, oh, now I earn fu money, so fu, right? So everything else I spoke about was tangents. Y'all know Mr. Z. They call it BGS drift. Mr. Z got his own drift over here, and mine's is sideways. So that's a car reference for those of you that don't get it. Um, yeah, no, this is fu money. And what the Nigerian brother was talking about was $80,000 being enough for Nigerian women to say fu to Nigerian men in America, and for there to start being problems in the family, start, and then divorce, and then fu, right? And so once again, we would have to start having a conversation about, is it character flaw in men, particularly black men, or is it women's idea of liberation and what they see? And me and PK are really going to have a conversation about negative liberty and how women interact with negative liberty in this society. Is it women saying, yeah, so we can earn more than your wife at this level? Nigerian women, according to this book, it's about $70,000 and $80,000. Once they start 70, 80, they want to be liberated from you and this marriage and what it entails to be a wife. Huh. Especially for you who does not earn or have a certain amount of wealth and you're not white. Oh, I'm Borging. Oh, give me a second, yo. I'm Borging. I'm Borging. Can you guys hear me now? Now, maybe now, maybe now. It's crazy. I cannot move and then all of a sudden start Borging. Perfectly clear and then start Borging. Okay. Anyway, on that note, um, yeah, we're gonna have to have a conversation about that. About what women truly see as liberating, right? What is liberating to them? Particularly women of color in this society that is still white dominated, right? And it's a good thing that we're seeing non-ADOS men of color, that's black non-ADOS men and other men of color also kind of speak to this. Because what this looks like, and this is why I tied Pakistan to this, is, and I'm gonna just say it, all right, I'm putting my tinfoil hat on, screw it. An insidious plot by white dudes to use women of color as the buffer against men of color because they know what they did on the planet. I said it. Goddamn, Mr. Z. I said it. And obviously, because ADOS men um, are in the belly of the beast, they got it first and they got it the hardest. And now everybody else is starting to deal with their own little by little, teeny, tiny bit by teeny, tiny bit, starting to deal with their own situation like this. Remember, somewhere, and I might have to just repost it, somewhere in my community chat, um, all the way down somewhere is the birth out of wedlock rate for a bunch of different countries outside of America. And it don't look good. And across Latin America is 60, 50, 60, 50, 40 some odd percent of birth out of wedlock. And a couple of the countries um have 70%. So yeah. So that's all what it looked like is Mr. Charlie been muhahaing a lot and figured, hey, you know what? XX chromosome would be the perfect buffer class for all of these people in all of these different communities. And I don't care how crazy I sound saying that. I stand on it. And it makes sense, right? So whether it's Keisha in America or her Nigerian sister or her Haitian and Jamaican sister saying, yeah, I'll have your kid. I just won't marry you. And I'll raise the kid not to like you either. Or it's mailing back in whichever East Asian country saying, yeah, I won't have your kid and I won't marry you. We pretty much end up in the same place. And by the way, the birth rate for ADOS or at least Black Americans is what? 1.8? 1.8 women, I mean, excuse me, 1.8 child per woman. So Black America is below replacement levels also, by the way. Right? By the way. So we keep on talking about Keisha with the 5, 6, 7 kids from 4 or 5 different men. Y'all not counting all the black women with no children. And there's a lot. right? So, on that note, everyone, we will truly pause right here. Shout out to Dr. T. Shout out to BGS. I took y'all conversation and went all different places with it. I did not have an academic analysis the way Dr. T did in BGS, right? So, like I said, that Cornell study from years ago pretty much told us what it is. Women want, in America, women want men that earn something like 58%, so 60% more than them. Well, right? That is their socio demographic, that's the man they desire socio demographically. Well, and then you see all these articles and news segments coming out. Economically unattractive men are leading to a downturn in marriage. Yawn. Problem is, you ain't tell your daughters what's going to come with female empowerment and the feminism. That's the problem. The equal part. The equal part of equality. Maybe y'all didn't tell them what equal actually means. Right. I don't know how you can have hypergamy and equality at the same time, but hey, let's see if women can teach us. Anyway, let's see. They ain't figured it out yet. Let's see. Right? I'm with BGS on this. If y'all really meant it, it would be a different conversation. Apparently, y'all don't really mean it. That's the problem. If y'all really meant equality, if you really meant egalitarianism, okay, y'all don't really mean it. This is where the white man comes in. This is where swirling and divesting comes in. This is where the luxury movement comes in. This is women talking about hypergamy all of a sudden. They didn't actually mean it. This is where the Nigerian brother comes in with the FU money at $70,000, $80,000 a year plus. They didn't actually mean it. If they meant equality, then when they start earning 70, 80,000, whether their Nigerian husband earns 60 or he earns 120, they would stay because it's not character flaw. And that, if you want to know what Mr. Z likes about and loves about this conversation, it's becoming more and more difficult to keep on painting men as character flaw, as having character flaws. You have older women who are admitting, I divorced my husband because I earned more than him and I thought I was better than him, and then he went on and got married and I'm still out here. They're admitting it's not character flaw. You have women like Chrissy, Miss Colorist Queen herself, admitting, yeah, well, black men are easy to get, but they're insufferable afterward. Nah, admit it, it's not character flaw. It's the money. Right? It's not. So what I love about this conversation is we are finally on the other side. And to me as a trending older millennial, definitely Gen Xers, we had to be the sacrificial lambs. Right? We had to, the Gen Xers, young baby boomers, the entire generation of Gen Xers and older millennials, we had to be the sacrificial lambs. Maybe you younger millennials, you Gen Z, and you alpha that's gonna come up behind them, y'all could get it right. But we had to be a sacrificial lamb because for us coming up, it was all character flaw in men, particularly black men. That's how they were making it seem. It was all type of character flaw. We were deadbeat fathers and husbands and boyfriends and secretly gay and colorists and featurists and texturists and yawn. Now, all it took, Y'all realize we like social media on the high speed internet side of the game. What, we got 2 decades of that, give or take? And then with the black manosphere, a decade ish, and already it's become really difficult for them to make it seem like it's character flaw. Does that mean that there's not individual black men with extreme character flaws? That is not what Mr. Z is saying. But it's become really difficult for them to keep on couching the conversation as the problem is black men with character flaw. No, your problem is your worship of white femininity. Ooh, Mr. Z. Yeah, I said that. Your issue is with your insane concepts of consumption that we have put, and I'm gonna probably put it up tomorrow morning, or if not later on tonight. Conspicuous consumption turn dating. What happens when you put conspicuous consumption and dating in the same pot? Well, you end up with the white man's penis. That's what you end up with. Uh-oh. Dear women of color, not just even black women. Right? So, as I said, younger boomers, the whole entire Gen X, goddamn, right? Gen X, and us older millennials, almost all the millennials. I might as well just say all the millennials, but definitely us older millennials had to be the sacrificial lamb. But it is because of just a decade of social media, um, conversations and YouTube and streaming. Um, it is difficult for these people to make it seem like it's men, particularly black men, and some type of character flaw that is causing the women of our group to not marry us and stay with us. No. And now both the political right and the political left, the NGOs, the corporations are going to have to grapple with the fact that you raised, and y'all know Mr. Z loves saying this, a bunch of snarky, mean, asshole, condescending, rude, entitled brats as daughters. Your daughter isn't married not because your sons are immature. And I'm not saying there's not immature men. I'm saying your daughters are not married because, once again, y'all raised a bunch of snarky, a-hole, condescending, mean, entitled brats. In other words, you raised a bunch of 7 and 12-year-olds in grown women's bodies. Some of our PhDs can't say it. Mr. Z could say it. I'm just saying. And then you gave her a degree. God damn. You gave her a degree on top of that. And you gave her, like the Nigerian brother was saying, and now she earns enough FU money. And well, and Dr. Dunbar says, facts for the Frankenstein experiment. And that's all it was, a Frankenstein experiment that failed miserably. Or should we say failed beautifully? Right? All that consumerism. That's why I have the stream where I played it for you with the CCO of Disney saying and admitting, yeah, we targeted the children, but mainly the girls with all of this lifestyle branding crap. That's why I keep on playing stuff like that for you. I'm gonna play again on one of these lives. The and maybe me and Toya gotta cover that. The radical feminists out of Britain. Yeah, that's 1970s. Y'all want to know where Cynthia G and all these other Lexus Exodus and all these weirdos get their abort black male baby stuff from? White feminists were saying that in the 70s, abort black, not black, but abort male babies. Or should we? Better yet, they'd like to frame it with a question, right? And maybe we should have what men on one side of the hemisphere and women on the other side of the hemisphere, whether it's north and south or whether it's east and west. White feminists from the 1970s, right? Excuse me. Let's not even do that. White radical feminists from the 1970s were saying that. PK, this is funny as hell. And PK Angel says, well, you know how we do, double down on disaster. That sounds like a movie title, double down on disaster. That's an action movie out of the 90s. Right? That's an action movie out of the 90s, double down on disaster. Right? So, yeah. This is a failed Frankenstein experiment, Doc. For real. So, shout out to the Nigerian brother. I don't know whether to congratulate you or send you some roses for the disaster that you see and that you're going to be witnessing for a little while now, right? Yeah, that sucks. So my condolences to the Nigerian American community. Welcome to hell, right? Um, as a Haitian descent person, born and raised in South Florida, with other Caribbean folks, like I said, welcome to hell. Um, really great culture and being immersed in it. It does buffer some of this. Having strong family values, definitely buffers some of this. But all it takes is for your daughter to think some of this is cool, and it's over. It's over, right? All it takes is just a little bit of her being, you know what, that looks free and fun. Over. So yes, it may not manifest as full-on Keishaism, but what you will get is what? Tila Tequila. What you will get is Mindy Kaling, right? What you will get is Les Moonves' wife, who was the side chick until he bumped her up to wife, right? For all you fathers of color, right? That's what you'll get. Just saying, right? Both a lot of Richie's daughters are married out. I'm just saying. They're both white passing the cell anyway, right? Are they adopted? Is one of them adopted? Or like, maybe? Yeah, but Dre said Tila Tequila is old school, lol. Now they got Cardi B and Sexy Red. I used them for a reason because Cardi B is with a black man. And Sexy Red, well, she having baby from Negro, so yeah. So I said Tila Tequila specifically for a reason, and I said Mindy Kaling specifically for a reason. First, I wanted to make sure not to mention black women. That's why I said women of fathers of color. But because these things manifest differently for different groups of people, right? With different cultures, different backgrounds, different familial models, right? So I'm purposely speaking about women who are not black, and their fathers, obviously, clearly, who are not black, right? So yeah, but we see this all across, right? And on that note, everyone, we will truly pause right here. Love, peace, and chicken grease. Yeah. Shout out to BGS and Dr. T. Hassan Johnson. Shout out to all the docs in the Black Manosphere, actually. Um, So yeah, like I said, this brother really, I think he really gave us something to think about, right? And I think Dr. T's title was perfect. Um, yeah, it's something to think about. He said 80, 90,000, well, sorry, 70, $80,000 a year is when that FU mentality starts to bubble up, right? So y'all go check out other Black Manosphere content, other non-Manosphere content. Um, yeah, because y'all don't want to sound like these people. These kind of myopic, don't really know what's going on in the world, but they have all type of demands and all type of foolishness. They talking people. Um, and I will see y'all on the other side. All right, we will end it right here. Mr. Z got to go inside, and am I even gonna do dinner? It's kind of late ish. Um, right, I got to get my figure back. Right, so we will truly pause right here. Y'all have a great, great, great rest of y'all night. And Mr. Z out. All right, everybody.